Well, I'm a little split on the Wolfman Gardner's essay. I think on the one hand, it was very well done, very well edited. Barry has a lot of interesting insights. He gets a lot wrong, though. I think he went way too extreme with the interpretation. But the basic gist is to him that the slashers of the 1970s and even early 80s got tired, very formulaic, very rote. So horror fans still saw them, right? And there were a few good entries, but basically the whole genre became tired by the early 90s. But Scream, all by itself, revived the whole thing, made a ton of cash, reset the whole genre, influenced many films afterwards, right? I Know What You Did Last Summer, so and so on and so forth. I think he's half right and half wrong. So let's just hear him speak and celebrate the greatness, goodness of Scream in all its cinematic glory, which I agree. It was a very powerful film.
Half asleep genre, flipped the lights on and went, right, wake up. One of the big reasons Scream hit like it did is because it didn't pretend those older movies didn't exist. It leaned into them. This is one of my favourite things.
Well, again, the praise for Scream is fine. I don't see, though, why it's necessary to attack the Candyman. Why is Candyman a bad film or very predictable to him? Well, I can criticize Candyman on many levels. I mean, the old one, not the new one. The new one I've not seen. I'm going to give that a chance. But predictable. No, I can say as a young kid, I saw it. I could not predict. Most people could not predict where it went. It went into some really wacky, weird territory. But again, maybe Barry's just really intelligent guy because he guessed who the killers were in Scream 6 really early. I did not. But then the Scream 6 puzzle was frankly pretty stupid. So it's not worth solving because when it was solved, it was like, okay, you said it, but I don't believe you. But I think overall the essay was pretty strong. He is getting factually, though, things a little bit incorrect. Like the slasher did have a boom and it did kind of peter out, but that was a financial thing. But as far as the slashers losing innovation, I'm not so sure that holds up, right? Again, it depends on what we mean. Do we mean horror slashers or just thriller slashers? Because these genres go back and forth, overlap. It's very hard to define them strictly. I'd have to say the slashers actually had a bit of a revival in the late 80s and early 90s. However, it is true financially, Scream was on another level. Scream was a major, massive success. It was very different from most films then or even now where they gained audiences over time through word of mouth. So there I think Barry's very strong that this is a very unique moment in horror history where a film wasn't just great, but in terms of the financing was insane. It was just an insane blockbuster. Again, for horror, for the horror genre, this is unprecedented.
Will reshape horror. Then the numbers started doing something unusual. Instead of exploding opening weekend, then dropping off, it just kept going. Week after week, the box office held strong. Word of mouth kicked in hard. Horror fans saw it first, then dragged their friends along. People who'd given up on slashers went out of curiosity. And
so I do want to be careful. I'm seeming like I'm very negative on Barry. No, I like Barry's stuff, but I disagree with him a whole lot, the way he does things and interpret things. Even some of his guests. But I think he's a solid guy. He is, though, he has a very heavy accent, which he's addressed several times. That you don't say it like that, I say it like this, I'm Scottish. Stop making fun of me. I agree, I don't mind. Yes, if to English ears, I mean, American English ears, it'll be sounding, huh? What'd you just say? But, I'm not technically a native speaker of English, so I can kind of be there. Actually, I get the opposite. People don't ever detect an accent, so it's interesting. It goes both ways. But I like Barry. And overall, it was a very strong essay. I mean, he made the case very well that Scream definitely changed things a lot. I don't think it was as dramatic as he makes it seem. It definitely altered a lot of other films. They definitely became more meta, more ponderous. But as he himself notes, this was done by Wes Craven with New Nightmare, independent of Kevin. So the meta thing had been going on with horror for a while. I don't think even they're the first films, but in terms of being the first mainstream films to really be sort of self-reflective, deconstructive, and playing around with their own rules is, yes, very unique and exceptional to New Nightmare and Scream. And spoiler, I still think New Nightmare is the superior film. But I would grant that Scream is on another level. Although New Nightmare has many virtues, I can't say it's a comedy. And Barry is sort of toning down how comedic it was. Oh no, there are a lot of jokes. I mean, there are lots and lots of jokes. in Scream. And usually I have this problem with Buffy, which I do praise, but Buffy always had that problem of going too far with comedy, too far with horror. It's always back and forth. It's still a great series, but even labeling it horror comedy is a little distortive, right? Because the horror elements are sometimes too weak, sometimes the comedic elements are too strong. So it's a little bit all over the place. But Scream is a very well balanced film. It is extremely well balanced between its various different elements. I think that's just putting aside the horror element, horror fan element, just the fandom element. It is just a very well done script that's very well acted. Again, Wes Craven did a lot of small things and big things to make sure it became near perfect. Again, if they had done it slightly different, right, didn't have Drew Barrymore, didn't have the opening shocking scene, did things a little differently, it probably wouldn't be getting the praise it gets all these years later. But, a lot of happy coincidences, a lot of good things just came together where Wes was looking for work. That's something that Barry missed. That's a complete accident. People think like it was preordained that when Kevin did the script, Wes would sign on and the Weinsteins gave the big paychecks. That's not what happened. Wes had no real interest in this film at all. He was looking for other things. But New Nightmare, which is ironic because I actually paid the ticket for it when I was a very young kid. Should the movie theater have let me in? I don't know. Probably not. I was a little too young to be in that kind of film. But hey, it is what it is. I paid the ticket. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. However, it was not a smashing blockbuster. It did respectable, but it didn't really make Wes Craven a billionaire. So he's looking for work, and they just had this available. And he's like, all right, well, I'm available. And that was it. It's just a lot of happy coincidences, right? Because originally Drew Barrymore was meant to be Sydney, but she said, no, I don't want to be Sydney. And so it's just a lot of happy accidents that came together. It is definitely really incredible that Kevin, Wes Craven, the Weinsteins, and Nev all were in that one project. I mean, later on we had Sarah Michelle Gellar with Scream 2. So it's pretty insane the kind of talent that was attached. But again, it was that time in the 90s. You could have really big stars, really small stars, and they all ended up being in the same project together. Like years later, it sounds, wow, how did they have all those people in that one film or that one project? But yeah, the 90s were really weird. You had the really massive mega stars and really much smaller stars who became a lot bigger later on, but they all happened to be in the same film. I just saw this thing on one Jim Carrey film, which I didn't realize that I saw this film over and over again. I didn't notice that had Bob Odenkirk in it. And I was like, wow, he's in it? Yeah. So the 90s were just really weird. You'd have all these very strange TV shows and strange films that had so many different weird people coming together who otherwise are never in the same film, never in the same TV show. But Scream was like that. It just was a very weird, magical time. Hopefully we can do it again, but, it's a very different Hollywood that's here now. But yes, most of the essay was accurate. Strong essay. I do recommend it, but come in a little cautious. I think he goes a little too far in too many places, but that's me. But very good essay on the legacy of Scream and the way it's still with us all these years later. Thank you for listening. Please stay safe.
Cinema going, they killed Drew Barrymore in the first 10 minutes. What just happened? That